Thank you. And the order, I'm happy to take over for Senator Wyden, who had to run to the Finance Committee for a second. And fortunate for me, I'm actually next on the list, too. So I don't know how I got that good, but following me will be Senator Risch. So, Dr. Moniz, thank you very much. You and I have had a chance to have many conversations about a variety of issues, but obviously, first and foremost on my list is Hanford and Hanford cleanup, and I want to get a couple of, first of all, I hope that you'll make it a priority to visit Hanford very soon in your tenure as Secretary of Energy.
If I'm confirmed.
If you're confirmed.
I certainly will. If I may say, Senator Cantwell, I think particularly seeing the recent DNFSB letter laying out the issues, my plan would be to get hard briefings immediately, go to the site, because I think you need to be there to understand the issues, come back, work with the chairman, work with you, work with Senator Murray, and make sure we get a plan together going forward, and do that expeditiously. Great.
That was first and foremost. Secondly, I do think the complexity of this, we always have to remind ourselves that this has to be based on good science and good time frame. So you believe in living up to the tri-party agreement?
The tri-party agreement is an agreement that we have to strive to satisfy. I will also be straightforward in opening a discussion if I think that there are challenges that are rooted in the science and technology. Certainly, my intent is to work with you and the other members to adhere to the agreement.
But you believe in that document as an agreement by the federal government to live up to those milestones?
It is an agreement with milestones.
Okay, great. And what about this issue of the supplemental and how it impacts Hanford cleanup? Do you think that this is an important enough issue that we shouldn't be looking at ways to cut funding, but if that means not living to the tri-party agreement? I'm not trying to get you to make a forward-looking statement as it relates to the administration and the budget, as much as I'm trying to emphasize, do you believe in cutting the budget, including Hanford cleanup, if it's going to miss the milestones?
Well, clearly, I support trying to meet the milestones, and that will require having the budget to do it. Again, I don't know what the budget is. I don't know the path forward. I can assure you that I will work with you and the other involved members to try to do the best we can to get the resources, and B, to use what resources we have most effectively.
I think I mentioned to you in my office, I'm literally for energy secretaries for life, or until Hanford is cleaned up.
Or until Hanford is cleaned up.
Because every time a new administration or a new energy secretary comes in, somebody comes up with a brilliant, this is the best way to do it. This is how we're going to do it. And they come up with a new idea, and it usually ends up costing millions or billions of dollars, and then they thwart it, or we throw it out, or we basically say, no, you can't clean up 97% of the tank waste. You have to clean up 100% of the tank waste. I wanted to get your thoughts on the issue of the commission you served on and separating out military waste, because one of the issue that has thwarted us in looking at the larger nuclear waste repository issue is that Hanford has will have, with the VIT plant producing vitrified logs, a need for storage of this military waste. Should we move forward on looking at that as a solution of separating the defense waste from other waste?
Senator Cantwell, that was a very spirited discussion in the Blue Ribbon Commission, and the origin of it is that clearly the conditions that led to the decision in the 1980s to commingle are no longer operative. So therefore, a relook is certainly in order. The Blue Ribbon Commission recommended that, and if I'm confirmed, I really want to push that evaluation.
Okay, and you mentioned in your testimony about smart grid. Obviously, we want our national laboratories to move forward on that. Obviously, we would love you to visit PNNL while you're also out in the Northwest. But making a commitment to our national laboratories and development of smart grid technology. I'm hoping that you are going to move forward on where Secretary Chu has been on developing a more concentrated strategy for our national labs.
I believe that we,
I just want to clarify, not concentrated as in only one lab as much as make a
No, no, no.
focus of
Sure.
national,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
thank you for the clarification, but I feel that the department and the labs work best when working together in a strategic way on the major mission priorities. The grid is one of those, and so frankly, I'm going to be looking, I think, to working in a somewhat different way with the laboratory directors, so that frankly they are engaged more in the strategic decisions about where we all go together.
Thank you. Senator Risch? Thank you, and Dr. Moniz, before my colleague leaves from the Northwest, I wanted to bring up a issue about cost-based power and the Bonneville Power Administration. Obviously, one of the issues that we care deeply about is to make sure that we continue that, and that the Northwest delegation, you know, BPA ratepayers, you know, there's always an attempt every few years to try to refocus that, and I wanted to get your commitment on continuing to make sure that BPA has strong jurisdiction within the Department of Energy relative, you know, to other ideas that people have about living up to the structure of BPA and how it exists today.
Well, Senator Cantwell, I think there's no question. First of all, I understand completely the importance of the PMAs in large regions of the country. Bonneville is certainly a major player. We are committed, I think, to maintaining sound management, the commitment to delivering low-cost power to the customers, and working with BPA and interested members in a collaborative way, also to make sure that they are, you know, developing in a way that's important technically and important for the Northwest.
I also wanted to get your comments quickly, and I don't know if I think Senator Wyden is making his way back here, so if he gets here in time, we won't recess. But if he doesn't, I'll have to recess for a short period of time and then pick back up when he does come back from the vote. But I wanted to get your comments on the Manhattan Project National Park, which is preserving the B reactor at the Hanford Site, and Department of Energy's commitment to moving forward on that with obviously Interior, and also on land exchanges. Part of the land that we've been successful in moving forward on at Hanford has given us the ability to say that once this cleanup is there and completed, that there's a possibility to move forward with moving that land into other functions once the cleanup is completed. So I wanted to see if you know of any reason why that would be held up in the future, either of those projects.
No, I don't. I know of the projects, and I know of course, the desire for beneficial use of additional land in there for economic development, et cetera. But I don't know them in depth. I will certainly work with you on that, and I certainly see no reason why that wouldn't go forward. But I will be happy to work with you in your office on that.
Okay, and then just lastly, I know my colleague at the beginning of his statement had a chance to talk to you about renewable energy, but and as part of the mix and portfolio, do you see an opportunity, looking back at some of the resources that we have been talking about, as a way to better streamline when you look at the marketplace and how things are being financed for clean energy solutions? Do you see a better way for us to make continued progress on clean energy solutions in the development of new technology?
Well, I'm certainly aware and very interested in a number of discussions about different approaches, such as extension of master limited partnerships, REITs to clean energy, and if those prove to be, and I know here members are also interested in those approaches, those or others that can help move a lot of kind of private capital into the game would be very interesting, and I would love to work on those with the members.
Well, I was thinking a little more in the sense of this, you know, the Small Business Administration has been a very big catalyst for luring private sector dollars into, but by coming up with a very cost-effective, cheap capital to help secure private sector investment. And my question, we've had a lot of this conversation on this committee about the loan guarantees and the complexity of what it takes the Department of Energy to sign off on a project. But when you think of something in a more turnkey style, where a little bit of federal dollars could be leveraged, you know, 20 to 30 times by the private sector, in more of a model that would be simple in the context of the great thing about renewable energy and electricity is that you actually have a revenue source because of the power that's being generated. So I just wondered if you had thoughts about that.
Well, I think I'm going to need to listen on that and get more good ideas. But again, the general idea of finding mechanisms, especially to leverage private resources, I think would be very effective.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Senator Portman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I certainly welcome that your leadership has, I don't think I've been at a hearing where Hanford and Hanford cleanup has been mentioned so many times by the chairman of the committee. So I certainly welcome the focus and welcome your visit to the Pacific Northwest and your visit at Hanford. I guess as I have looked at this over 12 years, the complexity from the science side of this has always interested me. And as I said in my statement earlier, that I think oftentimes people come in as a new secretary and or maybe individuals underneath the secretary and propose new ideas, and I could provide the committee with a long list of those, and some of them have not gone so well. But I guess from the perspective of, you know, there's some people who've talked about reprogramming dollars, which is always a concern, reprogramming dollars away from Hanford, or this not being able to understand or crack the science. I guess I'm asking you, Dr. Moniz, whether you think that this is an issue of, you know, we don't know the answers on a scientific basis, or yes, these are problems, but any project of this magnitude and size is going to have problems from a scientific perspective that we have to solve. And so I guess my question is, do we know what the issues are? Are they solvable scientific problems? And, you know, are you committed to making sure that the Department of Energy puts forward a budget that will help us solve these in a timely fashion so we aren't waiting, you know, 2 years to find out an answer about tank waste?
Senator Cantwell, on the first question about the scientific situation, I mean, that's what I really have to make my own mind up. I have to go look at it carefully. My guess is that I will come to the conclusion that the key uncertainties are identified, but there may be still some specifics in there where we'll have to do a little more work. That's only a guess, but for example, I mean, I know going back years how different the understanding of the waste's composition is in different tanks, to make sure we understand how we can get those tanks, how to get those wastes characterized adequately and maybe mixed in the right way to be able to feed the pretreatment and or WTP. So I think that's the level at which I intend to look at this. I can't answer your question today, but I can assure you, for one thing, I'm not out to invent a new theory of these wastes. I'd like to be as pragmatic as we can to move the project forward. Obviously, it's been a challenge.
But I guess what I'm asking is, to me, I'm trying to separate out the two different issues. One is whether we know enough about the science, or are these impossible scientific questions. I think that is a little more known quantity, and this, you know, perversion that some people have to constant, I mean, first of all, I think this is one of the largest nuclear waste cleanups in the entire world, not just in the United States. So the complexity of that process, in my mind, is a separate issue from the complexity of the science. And trying to distinguish what are big bumps in the road that need to be overcome from a process perspective, being different from the scientific question. So I don't know, it's obviously hard before you dig in to give us a concrete answer on the science, but do you see anything at your first look at this, that these are scientific questions that can't be answered?
I certainly at this stage know of no question that cannot be answered. I'm just reserving judgment until well, actually, I'd be very surprised if there were a question that could not be answered. I was really thinking more about has been answered.
Okay.
That's really the issue.
And so you think these are challenges that can be met from a scientific perspective, and obviously we need to focus on the process here and make sure that the process goes smoothly. And,
Right.
Which I think is I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, given the magnitude and scale of this project. I've always questioned the challenge of how hard it is, given the size and scale of the VIT plant. But that, yes, we have to have accurate, assessments and plans in place, but every step in the process, obviously, we find more and more information that we have to tackle and understand.
And what I would call part of the process uncertainty is, and I just don't know the answer, the level to which the systems engineering integration has been done to make sure all the pieces are coming together in a way that makes it as resource efficient as it can be. Because I think the resource efficiency is going to be important for us to try to move this in a the most timely way.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.